Hello guys and welcome back to the Golf Racing Career Mode here for round number 3, episode number 2, but round number 3 for the Monaco Grand Prix, the duel in the Formula 1 crown. This should be a very interesting race indeed, a race that often throws up some interesting results in career mode, so we're going to see how well we can do in this one. Shouldn't be the strongest track for our car considering our aero and chassis is not very good, but we'll have to wait and see. We're going to do some upgrades to the aerodynamics, I believe rear downforce. We're going to do the minor rear downforce upgrade, should be on the car for after Monaco but before Baku. So that'll be interesting. We're advancing time and we're going to do a marketing department event now. We've been looking into overall use of social media, blah 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 blah. We can either agree and lose 50k and gain 1000 acclaim, that's what we're going to do. Or I think the other option was just do nothing. So we're going to gain the acclaim, 50k, really not that much in this game. As I say on my series, quite a lot, 50k really isn't that much. We do have a press event now, so I think we're going to go into that.
Thanks so much for the invitation to your HQ. Let's have a little chat about the team's performance this season.
That interview clip circulating online paints your teammate in a pretty bad light. From an outsider looking in, it seems like your team's making a conscious effort to avoid talking about the issue. Why is that? Upgrades to your facilities seem to have stalled. Is there no more room for improvement, or are you prioritizing other areas? Your second driver seems to be getting much more comfortable with their car. Have you been focusing on their development? Would it be safe to say that in terms of team orders, your career comes first in your team? Your team's been picking up points fairly consistently. Do you think you'll be able to become a challenge to the top teams in the future? Well, thanks a lot for inviting us here. It's been fantastic.
Alright, so that was the press interview. You could see all the questions we were answering there. Very interesting. I mean, honestly, I find it a little bit boring, those press interviews, but they need to be done. You can gain some acclaim and that from them. Looking at the facilities now, I don't think we have enough money to do an upgrade. We've only got 1.07 million, and I think most of these upgrades need at least 1.5 million, so we're not going to be able to do an upgrade there, unfortunately. We can actually do a quality control on the durability, so we are going to do that. But after that, we're going to head straight into the Monaco Grand Prix. So then, here we are for the Monaco Grand Prix here for qualifying. We're going onto the track now, and as you can see, a change for this race. We're going to be driving in Cockpit cam for the entire race, just as a little bit of a challenge on the side, and just to make it a little bit more interesting at this track. So, we've just come across the line for our first qualifying lap, I believe. So we are P14 currently, and we're starting our final lap, only 10 seconds on the clock, and let's see if we can get any higher up the grid. And it seems like we're kind of losing time a little bit at the moment as we go down into Mirabeau, shifting down to P2, gear 1, sorry, and going into the lows, or the Fairmont hairpin, whatever this hairpin's called, the hairpin. Is what I like to call it nowadays, and going into lower Mirabeau now and into Portier. You can see we are up on the Delta. This has been a great lap so far. Lost a little bit of time in the first sector, but since then we've gained heaps of it back, going through the tunnel now and exiting. We are dropping positions at the moment down to P15, so I'm not quite sure whether that is cutting the chicane there. Nice lines, Ollie. But anyways, going into Tabac, shifting down to 4th. Probably could have carried a little bit more speed through there, but not the end of the world at all. And into Piscine we go now, and jumping across the curbs. We actually lost a lot of time through there. And into Rascas, I don't think this lap is going to be any faster, unless we can do something through Anthony Nogues. We can. We gain nearly a 10th through there. And coming up to the line now, this is going to be a much better lap. We go into P16 at the end of qualifying, so a pretty good result. I think that puts us through into qualifying too, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Having a look at the results now, of course we've got to get our XP first. We're going to try and move up the ladder in terms of the podium pass, but looking at the results, Lewis Hamilton tops the session from Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez. Then it's Leclerc, Verstappen, Ricciardo rounding out the top 6. We do make it through in P16. Ticked him though, doesn't. 20th place, so yeah, not the best for him. So then here we are into Q2. It should be a dry session once again, and yeah, let's see if we can get into Q3. I highly doubt it, to be honest. This car really is not quite good enough, but we're still going to try, of course. I mean, getting into Q3 will be a massive achievement this early on in the career mode. We're only going to have one lap to do it. You can see only 23 seconds left on the clock, and we haven't already done one, so this is going to be a high pressure, high stakes lap here, coming through Ravage now and up into Casino Square we go, shifting down into 4th, a pretty nice run through there, it must be said, and through the second part of Casino Square as well. Around the bump we go and into Mirabeau, shifting down once again to 2nd gear this time, not quite shifting down to 1st, and we will for this hairpin though, and through the session is now complete, but we're going to of course try and finish this lap off going through Portier once again. Pretty decent line. It's not been a terrible lap so far. Managed to keep it out of the walls, and yeah, this might be able to get us a few positions up. I doubt it will get us into Q3. I don't think it's quite that good of a lap, but it could get us ahead of the likes of Raikkonen or Esteban Ocon. So going down this mini straight now into Tabac, once again carrying a lot more speed than we did in Q1, so that is a good sign. And into Piscine we go again, jumping across the curbs. As per usual, you have to take that line through this, through those corners, otherwise you will not gain time. And into the last corner now, Anthony Noakes. Can we gain much more time? Let's see. Opening the DRS on the pit straight now, and where will we be? P16, unfortunately. Couldn't improve at the end of the session there, unfortunately. So we are knocked out in Q2, and we will be starting in P16. To be fair, couldn't expect much more from this session, considering our car is one of the worst on the grid. So I mean, it was a pretty decent lap, to be fair. It seemed like a pretty decent lap, carried a decent amount of speed, but is still last in Q2, unfortunately. Sergio Perez this time, topping the session by a 10.5 to Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, you can see ourselves in P16, they're actually quite a way behind Kimi Raikkonen. Looking at the team acclaim now, we are still making progress in level 4. We should be at level 5 pretty soon, actually, which is another sponsor slot, so that will be pretty interesting.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That was how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean Sea. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. The prestigious Circuit de Monaco then. It's not all that dissimilar today to the layout that made its debut almost a century ago. It's 2 miles and 19 corners through the streets of Monte Carlo, and although the average lap speed of around 93 miles per hour is the lowest of the season, the tiny margins for error make it the natural habitat of the safety car. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, Lando Norris and Leclerc, Ricciardo, Vettel, Stroll and Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon and Raikkonen, Marshall, Russell, Mick Schumacher and Carlos Sainz, Giovinazzi, Tictum, Mazepin and Nicholas Latifi. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So then here we are for the start of the Monaco Grand Prix. What can we do from P15? We've actually been bumped up a position, courtesy of Carlos Sainz having a grid penalty for this race. So a shame for him. We are going to lower the fuel by quite a bit. We're going to go for the medium soft strategy, so the alternate strategy. But let's go for the Monaco Grand Prix. 5 red lights, and it is away we go for the Monaco Grand Prix. A pretty decent start indeed. Raikkonen getting a terrible one on the hards, and so we are up into P14. Ocon kind of blocking the way there through turn 1. And we are going to remain in P14, so upper position there, good start. We're going to have to watch out for Russell behind on the softs, I can see as well. But for now, we should be okay. And Ocon in front of us is, yeah, he's on mediums as well. So a lot of these guys are on medium tyres. I think everyone not in the top, or most of the guys not in the top 10, as there's almost a car park into the Lowe's hairpin, and we're going to take advantage. We're going to go down the inside of Ocon and up into P13 we go. And that is a very, very opportunistic move. So that is very good indeed. And now Tsunoda's the one in front of us. You can see he is also on mediums, as well as Gasly in front of him. As we move on to lap number 6 now, Stroll and Ricciardo into the pits, as you can see. So we're going to gain a couple of positions there, at least temporarily, the likes of Verstappen. I think most of the leaders are in. So this is now a very interesting phase of the race, because those guys could get stuck behind the likes of the Haases and the Williams, who are staying out longer on mediums and or hards. So those leaders might get stuck behind them. I see Hamilton won't, because he's still behind Ocon, but the likes of Verstappen and the Ferraris as well. So we have a chance at getting in front of those guys. I don't know if that's really possible, but we will see what happens. Hamilton behind Ocon as well. It will be interesting to see if he can get past, considering he is now on mediums. Anyways, you can see on the next lap now, Sebastian Vettel and Sergio Perez coming into the pits. So we're going to gain another couple of positions, at least temporarily. And those guys are another that could get stuck behind the likes of the Williams and the Haas. So we could be able to jump a few guys here and maybe even get into the points, which would be a great result here at Monaco. I don't know if that's... We'll see what happens for the rest of the race, but I'm not too sure that might be a possibility, but it depends how fast we can go. Skipping ahead to lap 12 as well, Hamilton actually got past Esteban Ocon, so that is quite interesting. Now he's going to be hounding us and trying to get up into P6 at least temporarily, because of course he is virtually the leader of this race, unless the likes of, I think it's the McLaren out in front, and actually his teammate, to be fair, Valtteri Bottas, is going for it. So he's on medium tyres, he's going for a massive overcut, and he might be able to get ahead of Hamilton if he gets held up behind the likes of us and Ocon. So this race will be interesting for the lead. It's also very interesting for us because, as you can see on the minimap, the likes of the Aston Martins and the Ferraris are getting held up behind slower cars, so we might be able to take advantage of that and get in front of those guys. But Hamilton still on the next lap is hounding us for this position here, position at number 6 at least for now. We're doing a great job for Valtteri Bottas, it must be said, going into Portier once again, and Hamilton right behind us. Can he do anything going through the tunnel? Can he do anything into the Nouvelle chicane? Let's see. Hamilton gaining ever closer. Can he go down the inside? No, he doesn't. Still, we're too far back, and I guess he probably doesn't want to risk it. He is the championship leader. He won both of the 2 opening races, so Hamilton probably doesn't want to risk trying to get past us, considering he's pretty much got P2 in the bag. His teammate actually is in the pits now, to be fair, Bottas, and actually if you look at the minimap here, Bottas has come out so far ahead of Hamilton, so Hamilton's really lost out. We're into the pits as well on this lap to go on to the soft tyres, so let's see now. This will be very interesting. Where will we come out in all of this? I'm not 100% sure. We might be ahead of the likes of the Ferraris, or maybe even the Aston Martins, although actually on the map, to be fair, you can see they are going past us, so they probably weren't held up in too much traffic, to be fair. I think we're going to get past one of the Ferraris on the pit exit. This will be close. No, it's not really very close, to be fair. Sainz kind of had it undercover, and he is passed up into P18, so we're P19 for now. I'm not too sure. I mean, a few guys definitely still have to pit, so we're going to gain at least a couple of positions there, but I think points are pretty much off the table because, of course, it is very difficult to pass at Monaco, so even on the fresh softs compared to these guys' old mediums, it will be very, very difficult to pass. Now, of course, we are going to try. It is easier for the player to pass than it is for the AI, so there are still opportunities to pass, but I think it'll be very, very difficult for us from here on in, to be fair. So then on to the next lap now. You can see a few of the other guys have come into the pits, the likes of Ocon and Mick Schumacher as well, so we're up into P15, so I think this is pretty much the limit for our race, although I say that to be fair, Russell does still have to pit onto the softs, I'm fairly sure, so he'll still have to do that. Sainz, I think, doesn't have to pit in this race, but we could be able to overtake Sainz. He is stuck behind Russell, and we are faster than both of these guys, so there is still an opportunity to gain another position. I'm not quite sure where that'd put us overall, but we could still gain another one here and get up into what I think would be P13 overall, but don't quote me on that. Going into the Nouvelle Chicane once more. Will Russell put this lap? I'm not too sure. He must have to, surely, if he is doing the medium to soft strategy. I'm not 100% sure that that's actually his strategy. But let's see, we are moving on to lap 19 now, the penultimate lap, and actually going into the last lap. And you can see Russell has stayed out, so I'm not sure what Russell's done here. I think he started on hards though, to be fair, so apologies, I didn't clock that at the start, but yeah, Russell did start on hards and he went on to medium, so he did the ultimate undercut and actually got past us, Ocon and Sainz, and up into P13, so I think P15 is where we're going to end up in this race. Ocon still behind us and Schumacher behind him. I don't think there's any wave past for those guys throughout the rest of the race. We actually hit the wall there, I think, at Mirabeau, so we do have front wing damage, which is unfortunate. Yeah, you can see it, a lime front wing now. So we're going to be vulnerable for the rest of the race, although I don't think it will really matter because these guys, I mean, it's almost impossible to pass at Monaco, especially if you are an AI car. They seem to find it very difficult. You can see into the Nouvelle Chicane now. We just got to be careful for the rest of this race that we don't completely bend the car, and then it will be completely fine. You can see heaps of understeer coming through the swimming pool section now. Ocon tried to get past. We've lost our entire front wing now. Ocon could still get past us here. Wow, the understeer through the swimming pool section was absolutely unreal. Understeer into the outside wall. Ocon nearly got past, but thankfully we're going to be able to bring it home in the P15. And that is it for the Monaco Grand Prix. Pretty decent race, to be fair. Certainly a lot better than the first two. So unfortunately still no points, but yeah, pretty interesting race. Fernando Alonso gets driver of the day. We get P15.
They've done it then. They've won here in Monaco with an emphatic performance and a victory they can be proud of for years to come. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
So then here we have the final results. Actually, we've got to first get our XP, but here we have the final results. Valtteri Bottas winning the Monaco Grand Prix with a great strategy, to be fair. He went for the alternate strategy just like ourselves, and he got through in P1 from Norris and Hamilton rounding off the podium. Scrolling down, you can see we are in P15, which is where we started. So a fairly decent race there. Qualifying actually was very good for us, and then the race was fairly decent as well. Looking at the standings, Hamilton still leads the championship because he won the first two races. As you can see, we are moving down to P17, Tictum still in P14. Constructor standings, we're still in P8. With looking at the team acclaim now, you can see we're actually going to move up, I think, to level 5. So that is very good. You can see the bar is fully complete on level 4, and we do move up into level 5, so we will get another sponsor slot for the next race. Cash-wise, we bring in 90k for this race. But that is it, guys, for episode number 2 of the Golf Racing Career Mode. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, goodbye.